Chosen one, stop scrolling for a moment. I need you to hear this because the deepest pain you have been carrying is not the waiting itself. It is the feeling that everyone else is moving forward while you seem to be standing still. You watch people get opportunities, relationships, promotions, and breakthroughs, and a quiet question keeps echoing in your heart. God, why not me? But what if the problem is not that you are behind? What if what hurts you most is comparing your journey to people who were never assigned to your path? God wants you to understand something today. Not everyone who is moving faster is moving in the right direction. Some people are simply traveling the wrong road at a higher speed. And while you have been frustrated by the pace of your progress, heaven has been protecting your purpose. The truth is, chosen one, you are not exhausted because of your work. You are not exhausted because of your responsibilities. You are exhausted because you have been carrying hope for so long without seeing the results you expected. There is a difference. Physical tiredness can be fixed with rest, but spiritual weariness comes from pouring your heart into something year after year and wondering if anything is changing at all. Maybe you have prayed prayers that seem to disappear into silence. Maybe you have tried to do the right thing when nobody was watching, only to watch others take shortcuts and move ahead. Maybe you have given your time, your kindness, your loyalty, and your energy, yet received very little in return. And perhaps the most painful part is that you kept believing, even when every visible sign suggested you should stop. What many people do not understand is that this kind of weariness is common among those God is preparing for greater assignments. The struggle is not simply about waiting. It is about carrying a vision that has not yet become visible. It is about trusting a process that offers very little immediate evidence. That is why you have felt conflicted. Part of you still believes, while another part is tired of hoping. But listen carefully. God's silence is not the same as God's absence. Just because you cannot see movement does not mean nothing is happening. Before God often works publicly, he works privately. Before doors open outwardly, foundations are strengthened inwardly. What feels like inactivity may actually be preparation. What feels like delay may be development. And what feels like being overlooked may be God carefully shaping you into the person who can carry what is coming without being destroyed by it. There is a truth about waiting seasons that very few people talk about, chosen one. Most people assume that God is preparing a blessing, an opportunity, a relationship, or a breakthrough. But what if the greater work is not what God is preparing for you? What if the greater work is what God is preparing within you? The reality is that God does not simply prepare blessings. He prepares people who are capable of carrying those blessings without being destroyed by them. Think about it for a moment. If certain doors had opened 2 years ago, would you have had the wisdom to walk through them? If certain responsibilities had arrived earlier, would you have had the maturity to handle them? Sometimes what feels like delay is actually protection. The most dangerous thing is not receiving something too late. The most dangerous thing is receiving it too soon. A blessing given before character is developed can become a burden. An opportunity given before discipline is built can become a disaster. A promotion given before faith is strengthened can create pressure that crushes rather than elevates. This is why God often works on the foundation before he expands the structure. He develops patience, humility, discipline, and trust long before the visible reward appears. While you were focused on the door, God was focused on the person approaching the door. And perhaps the greatest evidence that your season is changing is not what you have gained, but who you have become while waiting. Have you noticed that something about you has changed recently, chosen one? Not everything is different, but you are. Situations that once would have kept you awake all night no longer carry the same power over your mind. The opinions of people do not affect you as deeply as they once did. You are no longer reacting to every disappointment, every delay, or every closed door with the same level of frustration. And perhaps what surprises you most is that you are no longer trying so hard to prove yourself. Years ago, you felt the need to explain your worth, defend your calling, and convince others to see what God placed inside you. Now, that urgency is fading. This is not indifference. This is not emotional numbness. This is maturity. There is a difference between giving up and growing up. What is happening inside you is not the death of hope. It is the strengthening of faith. God often confirms things internally before he changes them externally. Before the promotion comes, he creates peace. Before the door opens, he creates stability. Before the breakthrough appears, he develops confidence that is no longer dependent on visible evidence. That is why you feel different. Your spirit senses what your eyes cannot yet see. You are not as desperate as you once were, because deep within, your soul recognizes that something is shifting. You may not know when it will happen or exactly how it will unfold, but a quiet certainty has begun to replace anxiety, and sometimes that inner peace is the first sign that a new season is already closer than you think. There is something else you need to understand, chosen one. Not everyone who has been part of your current season is meant to enter the next one with you. One of the hardest truths about spiritual growth is that elevation often requires separation. You may have noticed certain relationships fading, certain conversations losing their meaning, or certain environments no longer feeling comfortable. At first, it can feel confusing, even painful. But what if these changes are not signs of loss? What if they are signs of preparation? Before God elevates your life, he often removes what cannot support where you are going. Sometimes that means distancing you from toxic relationships that drain your energy and cloud your judgment. Sometimes it means breaking limiting beliefs that have kept you thinking smaller than your calling. Sometimes it means confronting your fear of failure so it no longer controls your decisions. And often, it means freeing you from the exhausting need for approval from people who were never assigned to validate your purpose. Here is a powerful truth. Sometimes the delay is not because God is keeping blessings from you. Sometimes the delay is because he is keeping you away from the very things that would damage those blessings once they arrive. What feels like rejection may actually be protection. What feels like isolation may actually be refinement. God is not only preparing what is coming to you, he is removing what cannot come with you. And that process, though uncomfortable, is often the clearest sign that your next season is approaching. One mistake many people make, chosen one, is expecting their new season to arrive with dramatic signs and overwhelming certainty. They expect thunder from heaven, instant miracles, or a sudden event that changes everything overnight. But more often than not, that is not how God works. The next season of your life may begin quietly. It may start with a simple conversation, an unexpected opportunity, a door that opens naturally, or a shift in the way you see yourself and your future. What changes your life is not always loud. Sometimes it is so subtle that you only recognize its importance when you look back. This is why you must stay attentive. Do not overlook small beginnings because you are waiting for something spectacular. God often hides extraordinary outcomes inside ordinary moments. And remember this, what God sends into your life will not require endless chasing, forcing, or striving. What is truly aligned with your purpose will recognize you. The right opportunity, the right connection, and the right door will arrive at the right time. Your assignment is not to run after everything. Your assignment is to be ready when what belongs to you finally appears. Chosen one, remember this. You have not been forgotten, and you are not behind. You are exactly where God needs you to be for this moment. One day, you will look back and realize that the greatest thing God ever did was not simply open a new door for you. It was transforming you into the kind of person strong enough, wise enough, and faithful enough to walk through it. If this message spoke to your spirit, comment, "I am ready" below. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this message with someone who may be losing hope today.